Hello, everybody. Welcome to my weird, wonderful world. And this is going to be a bit of a mixed bag. I'm going to talk about music here and there. And basically, what I want to try to get across with this video is how much, as if you don't know already, not just that how much I love music, but certain personal tastes and habits in the way I sometimes listen to music and see if I can't also pinpoint why certain things appeal to me and why some things don't, and whether it's the music's fault or if it's my fault for just not getting it properly. I'll try to get into all of that. But first thing, okay, I'll start with what happened the other day and what kind of got me on this train of thought of thinking about this type of topic. I've been like I have my music that I need to get to box, and I've been going through that. I have been, the next thing I need to listen to. It's in the player right now. I haven't listened to it yet, but that's next to be listened to. Tom Petty's Heart and the Heartbreakers Into the Great Wide Open. I do like it. I haven't heard it in a while, so I'm looking forward to playing it. But I've been kind of I couldn't stay away from playing Sparks Mad, which I don't have right here. It's over there. But I've been playing that, and I just played it last night and this morning. So so I got my little fix for a little bit. So good of an album, so good of an album. But it was this just the other night. Okay, the reason why I wanted to make this video in some sense is because I played it at least now about 3 or 4 times. Okay, I love it. I do like it gets better every time I play it. But of course, my favorite song on here is "Hell Broke Loose." It's the best song on the album. And when I wanted to play this album before going to bed, okay? But I didn't want to put the album on and it doesn't happen too often, but every once in a while I might fall asleep while listening to the album. I'll get to a good portion of it. I'll get to maybe halfway through it and then I'll kind of maybe fade out and not remember listening to the rest of it. And I didn't want to be asleep by the time Hell Broke Loose played, so I programmed my stereo to play it in reverse order. Okay. Every once in a while, depending on if there's a good song at the end of the album you want to get to, I will program it and play it in reverse order because it's sometimes I will do that normally with an album here and there, just because sometimes not that you get bored with an album, it has nothing to do with that at all. It's more about opening your perceptions of that album, trying to hear it from a different perspective. And sometimes every once in a while, if you would just play the album in reverse order, you might have it might give you a different impression. Albums that I really enjoy doing that with, of course, would be of this KM. Yeah, I meant King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. This is Nonagon Infinity. This here, okay, just because of the nature of it, if you do put it in reverse order, it still works. It still works because of the melodies and how things kind of work into each other, and they were kind of designed to be mixed up, but it's a it's a infinite loop this album creates. But I've listened to this in reverse order at least twice, and I find it interesting. An album which I consider it is designed to be played in reverse order is KMFDM's World War III. Really heavy metal, kind of. It's one of the heaviest. It's in my top three heaviest albums I own, I would say. I truly love it. But as you see, intro, okay, the album starts with the World War III and ends with an intro. And it kind of always struck me a little odd. Why end the album with an intro? But when you program this backwards, and I say it's a must. At least at least 25% of the time that I play this, yeah, 25% of the time I play this, I play it in reverse order because it just adds a different it adds a different tension, almost like a is building up, rather than this kind of hitting you with some with a dose of and then kind of working its way back. It really is. It should be played in reverse order. Now, an album you would think should be played in reverse order, but it doesn't. It's just the presentation that's in reverse, not the actual album itself. It's kind of a a juxtaposition of it would be here, Matthew Sweet's in reverse, okay? And the thing is, okay, everything's in the proper order here with the numbers. That is the album order. But what I find interesting is that when you open up the cover, okay, normally when you open up the cover would open like a book from the opposite end, but no, not this one. It's actually going in reverse order. In reverse order. That's the primary page. See, it doesn't open on the other end. Like, it doesn't open from this end like this, like a normal book. It opens reverse. So as soon as you get to here, right? There's the first song. There's the second song. There's the third song. There's the fourth song. You know, and then on it, and oop, I see again, wrong way. I got to go the opposite direction, and so all the lyrics are printed in reverse order. It's in reverse. So by the time I see I'm going the wrong way again. I got to go this way. See, like a Japanese book, but you're not reading it from up and down. You're just reading it, and that would be the second to last page, and then that's the last page. So yeah, it goes in there like that, but the opening is not on this side. It's on this side. Well, and that would be backwards. I would again backwards. That's like a little confusing. I love it. I love it though. I like that it's different. That it's in reverse. But you don't need to play. I've done it at least twice. Played this album in reverse, and there's a few albums that I have played in reverse. All right. I'm going to change the subjects a little bit. When it comes to personal taste in music, sometimes I music doesn't have to be for everybody. It doesn't matter to me if people like what I like or dislike. It it's my opinion. I'm allowed to like what I like. It's with every single person. You gotta try to put yourself in their perspective for just a moment that you did not live their life. You don't know the type of memories they've had, what music, uh, you know, people make associations with music sometimes. Like the person who loves the movie Boogie Nights, okay? He loves Boogie Nights in the Mark Wahlberg movie. I'm not going to tell you what it's about, but there's a song, that I got a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand new key. That song? Well, you never think of that song the same ever again after watching that scene with Heather Graham on roller skates. It's a pretty heavy scene a little bit, but you or or certain songs that I always will associate with certain soundtracks, for example, like there's like everything that's on the Pulp Fiction soundtrack or the Reservoir soundtrack, just to name a couple that I love, Quentin Tarantino and his use of music in movies, and that is pretty epic. But those songs will always be associated with those movies. It's just so when it comes to weird music, okay, that I have that I consider weird, and some people might not think of it as weird as I did, but it's still I've been hearing this since, especially since I given it to as as a full album reaction to Larry Graves. I've been hearing this a slightly different than I have heard growing up. I'm talking about Bruce Hack's The Electric Lucifer. I like bringing this up every once in a while because to me, growing up, this was so obscure. This was so obscure, and you nobody else knew what it was or ever heard of it. You mentioned it to anybody for like almost like a good 50 years of my life of knowing about this album. You mentioned it to anybody, and nobody would know what you're talking about. And even if you show them, they have no idea what you're talking about. This is not, this is not known by a lot of people. It seems, from my experience with it. But that's just what makes it even more magical and more, more special that you have a special connection. I don't expect everybody to connect with it. Larry Graves did because he understands, the the technical achievement of the time period of 1970 when this was created, or my fascination with this group right now. This is Captain Beefheart, and this is Safe as Milk. It's the only album I have of Captain Beefheart. But what I want to bring up, of course, is is Trout Mask Replica. Such an awesome, bizarre album, but it's such a weirdness that I gravitate to and I love. You know, I consider it the best kind of weird because I really understand where it's coming from, and the first time listening to it, having been warned already, hearing about it before ever listening to it for the first time, being warned about it, that it was going to be a weird album, that it was, the how it was put together. It just made me, so interested, and it hyped me up for it. And when I finally heard it for the first time, I loved it immediately. I didn't, because I saw such artistic depth in it, like this guy, for example, another guy that's on that edge of doing some crazy stuff. Like this album is, could you say it's ahead of its time? Probably because the whole sheer idea of the concept in there, and of course it was broken up in, there was just the first part, the first act, and then two and three came together a little bit later. But yeah, yeah, this is the best kind of strange. The first time I heard it, okay, I liked some of the songs, right, but I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I thought all that talking, all that. It was the first album when I first heard this a long time ago, because this is one of the few Zappas that I was aware of and have heard that that I didn't like it because it was the first time I heard that kind of that wasn't music to me. That was just like a story time, And even though there is songs that break it up, and I just didn't have the attention span to get into that kind, to at the time I was in my quick fix, of get this, hear the songs, and I didn't want to wait through all that talking to get to the songs. It was a little, I didn't get it, but I was kind of young and naive at the time. But now I love it. I love it. Absolutely. I consider this a bit of a weird band, especially this album. Is their weird. I consider this their weirdest album, and I brought this up before. This is Ogre, Devil's in My Detail. I had given Larry Graves a song from Ogre, but not from this album. It was from Sunny Psyops, called Magic, and he gave it a decent score. A fair score. I can't blame him for that score. I was hoping it was going to be a little bit higher, but no, I can't complain because he completely gave it 100% a fair score. Even this, I consider this a weird album in the best possible way. The Butthole Surfers. I mean, I could also name other stuff that I don't have next to me, like like okay, well, okay, I got Devo here. Not the album I thought I grabbed. I meant to grab Are We Not Men? Are We Devo? But these are this is this has Whip It. Where's Whip It? Do I have it here? Is it on here? Or is it on something else? Whip It. Yep, Whip It right there. That would be on Freedom of Choice. That was the first exposure for me of Devo, and they didn't really impress me at first. It was only later on, like much later on, when I was working at the movie theater, that one of my coworkers he kind of turned me back on to these, and then from then on I love them. But I was kind of thinking of like other kind of weird music. I was just in my thoughts a second ago, and I kind of forgot. But yeah, I have all kinds of great weirdness, and thanks to Larry Graves for getting me getting me on this. Ween the Pod. Again, one of the strangest albums I've listened to in a long time. But the more you listen to it, the more it gets into your head, and the more I love it. So I really am thankful for Larry for giving, because I cherish this. I treasure it for sure. Thank you, Larry, for getting me this. I I do love it. It was a gift, another gift, wonderful gift from Larry Graves. Okay. Before couple of last things before I go. The next thing I want to talk about, and I know I'm bringing this up again. It's my feelings about this album. This album intrigues me. It really intrigues me because of not because of the album. I find the album is good. It's good for what it is. Okay, and I do a part of me really does enjoy it, but there's that other part of me that kind of like that first impression of off being off put by it. The hang up is totally on me. It has nothing to do with the album. I'm sure there's going to be big, huge fans of this album. I mean, I still love it. I really like just for the artwork, just for that cover. It really is worth having. And I mean, I really do like Motorbike. I think it's a great song. Larry Graves did a reaction to that song, and he gave it a great score. He gave it a 10 out of 10. He actually absolutely did love it because it really is, music. It's the whole. This is truly the definition of what music is all about. Whether I love it or hate it, I have such, a little bit of mixed feelings about it, but I do actually like it, but it's like, it's difficult, and it was, yeah, okay. I put that in my most disappointing albums as number two, okay, and it was, okay. I'm not, I'm still not detracting from that it was a really disappointing album, and that's the first couple of listens. But it's an album that, yeah, the hang up is completely on me. I know I should love it more than I do, and like I said, part of me really does actually like it a lot because of the reaction it's causing in me. It's making me self-analyze myself, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. It's making it, with the end goal of being just more open-minded when it comes to, taste in music, other people's taste in music, that doesn't matter if you like, or if other people like what you like. It's it's all so personal. That's the wonderfulness about, you know like me hearing Tool and my relationship with Tool. I'm not going to go into it, but you all know about that. like, and I've been really learning how my like I'm getting closer to figuring out that song for Metal Guru. I'm inching closer and closer every day. I don't want to give any any time frame of when I'm going to be completing it, but it's going to be sooner rather than later. Getting this book, this Pocket Music Dictionary, is fantastic because I've been going through all of these. I'm not the one that circled these. These were circled by the previous owner of this book, but it's still. I'm trying to learn all of that, and I'm figuring it out. My favorite stuff to do, because yeah, these are just the normal key stuff, but it's this stuff right here that I love. Of course, just the scale chart construction. That's pretty in instructional. I love how that one's circled because that is pretty much very important to learn. That's the first one I'm learning, but I'm learning all these. I actually know how to read the notes more better now. I understand a whole much more than I did before. And when it comes to these scale modes, it's the next page right here of those other scales like the chromatic, the whole tones. Chromatic's easy. It's just you're just playing all the notes, all 12 of the notes, and then there's whole tones and pentatonic, uh, major, and on the black keys too. But the one I like. I've known about the blues once. That was one of the very first scales that I pretty much learned is the blues scale. But I really like the Hungarian. Yeah, the Hungarian, the major, and the Hungarian minor are cool. The overtones are cool. But yeah, I very important stuff. I mean, you don't need this really if you have a great ear for music. You don't really need to. But I just love being. It's like learning a whole other language, and puts it in perspective. So okay, that's it for me. Last thing before I go. Oh, this is going to be a little bit longer than I was hoping for, but no, I'm giving you a full episode. One last thing before I go. This weekend, starting tomorrow for me, but it starts earlier than that. Of course, it started yesterday, but it goes up from the 9th to the 13th. Is this Atlantic National? It's like a car show. They're gonna have exhibitions and stuff. So that's big right there. There's prizes to be won. Shows you like maps and sponsors and shows the show schedules. So I'll be checking that out as much as I'm pretty sure it's free, but whatever. I'm still going to go anyway and film up through there. So it's going to be through, yeah, there's some the main events and such and such. And I'll be going through that and trying to film all of, like the best stuff I can find for you guys. There's going to be special guests coming and stuff. So, farm truck and ants, but there's something else coming up. I'll show you in a moment there. But they're all going to be in like Centennial Park, and so the classic cars. You're going to have the blend area, and so different parts, and then there's the maritime kitchen party and cruising. So around there's going to be an area that's going to be kind of opened up for the cars and that, and then you get to cruise around that block. It'll be all probably closed off to other traffic and that. So I'm going to try to film as much of that as possible. What I want to show you here? Did I miss it? Did I pass by it? Because there's a band that's playing. I want to show you. Where is that? Oh, it's at the last page here. So, Mother's Polishers, Waxes, Cleaners Entertainment lineup at the City of Moncton and Canadian Tire Soundstage. So, it's these groups here, and the big draw for me and my good friend Robert Cormier, from from Francine McClure's band and everything. They're very interested in going to see Lighthouse. I'm interested in seeing Lighthouse. I'm aware of the band, and I do know some of their hits and that. I can't it's been a long while, so I can't recite anything offhand. I don't even know any titles, but I just know that Lighthouse is a pretty good band. All right, I've talked enough. This is kind of a longer video to make up for not being able to make a video yesterday. I have a little bit more time to use, so I'm going to use it. All right, so everybody, you know what I'm going to say. If you haven't subscribed, please do, because I will love you forever. Greatly appreciated. Don't be afraid to hit the like button. Absolutely, please. And leave me comments, because I love reading your comments. And I try to get to everybody's comments. And you see, I do as much as possible. There may be one or two I might not respond to, but if I leave a heart, my channel heart, you know I loved it. And okay, everybody, be safe. Take care. I'll see you on the flip side. I'll be seeing you a lot this weekend. And please, everybody, just be safe. Take care. I- I'm repeating myself again. Okay, everybody, have a great day, evening, morning, afternoon, or night. You know what? The typical. Peace, everybody. Bye.